So I've been taking one box. Yeah, that's bad.
I promise, I'll switch it. You have the same, I don't ever bring that. Is yours, oh, yours is Pleasant City also?
Yeah. That was a nice gift they gave me.
It was a nice gift, very nice gift.
Because I got this such baby flushed out. My buddy, his kidney level. You know how it shows the reading, but it shows so high. He's like, I took this up for about a month. Not creative.
Not creative. Creative.
I don't know, I bought it. I don't know what it is.
I'm checking it depends on what day you are. 36 to 40%. And then I get all the friends.
What is your height?
My department is about 20.
Oh, wow. So when you see a number like that, no, we're
You guys are
10.
Oh, that's with everything.
That's with everything.
General fund was 6. So 6-ish.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yay.
I have that.
So you take that every day? You know, you drink a shake every day? You see this sucker in your shake, you throw it in there every day. You know, you just put it like you have a coffee.
I love that. They keep promoting me. I don't know
Oh, let's see. Brother Matty.
Yep. So Chloe over here, and then and Mike behind us.
That's a weird thing. All the way down to Robinson. That's crazy.
It's really
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions? Anybody? There's seats up here. There. You guys have any
So they figured ballot voting, is that what they did here?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, you go ahead and start. It's a tad bit past 6:30, but, for everyone's knowledge, we are taping and live streaming this on our Facebook page, Hoover County League of Women Voters. It will be there for 30 days, so you can have someone watch if you wish. We're also Zooming it, and I will send each of the candidates Zoom link. And I think that's in on forevermore, but I'll send them the Zoom link, so if you want the Zoom link, you just need to ask them. Okay? I'm Terry McCullough I'm the president of the Weaver County League of Women Voters, and I have my trustworthy assistants, Sandy Cochran, and, no, what was her name again? Susan Kilgore, I'm just kidding, and my IT. So we're here, we're happy you're here. The way we do this, we are nonprofit and we are nonpartisan. This is the nonpartisan race. Any of your municipal races are nonpartisan. So you're not losing loyalty to any party. Vote who you feel will do the best job for your city. Don't worry about what, religion they are, or what there is, or what, Figure out what's going to do the best for you and your family. So we will ask them first, 2 minutes, they'll tell us a little bit about themselves, why they're doing this, whatever. Then I will ask them some questions that we've made out of a few that you have given me, and they have a minute to answer. And then at the end, there's a minute and a half for them to wrap up and tell you why they are the best candidate that you would ever know. So that's the way the process goes. You should have gotten a vote 411 part. If you did not, we need to get you one. There is a little tiny QR code on the right. That's where you can go to register to vote nowadays, right now. We're down to the end of the wire for registering. So get on there and you can still register. You may have to go in as a provisional voter, but you can still register. If you have a 16-year-old or older, 16, 17-year-old in your home, encourage them to use that code and vote. And when they turn 18, they'll get a ballot in the mail. They will have pre-registered. Also, if you look at Vote 411, go to vote411.org, put in your address. It will have candidates there with questions that we've asked them and answers. Because the biggest complaint we get is we don't know who you are. So go read about it. So I encourage you to do that, and if I got it right, everybody here has answered, I do believe. If they haven't answered, call them and ask them. For sure. Okay, I'm gonna turn the time, we'll bounce along. We're doing both the mayor and the council people together, because basically they are working together. So, and I do not do questions targeted to any particular person. That's not what we do, but I do try to reword some of them so that they get the answer, okay? All right, let's start with Steve. Hit it.
Hello, thank you.
Hold it over there. Purple.
Is my time going already?
No.
No, start over. The purple, paddle, whatever, means you have 30 seconds left. And then when she puts the yellow paddle up, it's stop, and then she hits you with it. That's right, I do.
Thank you.
You get paddle. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. Thanks. Thanks to the League for Women Voters for putting this on. It's education, and that's been one of the biggest things. People just don't know about me or about things. So thank you for that. Thank you for the audience for coming in and having some interest in that. I have I've lived in Pleasant Beach for 30 years. I have a beautiful wife who is here supporting me today, 3 children and 3.5 grandchildren. I've been on the city council for 12 years, 3 terms. I can stand by my record. I've voted a lot, and I've wanted many things and seen many things happen, and some things in place that I want to continue. That's why I'm running for mayor, to kind of follow these things through. I can stand by those things that I've done. I own those things. I live my life in a way that I can be proud of. And that's one thing. My dad used to say, all you have is your reputation of your name, and that's what you have. And so I can be proud of those things. I have been mayor pro tem for the last 4 years. That means when the mayor's gone, I've been the mayor. So I've held that position, and I think I've represented that well. I'm conservative by nature. I want conservative things in my budget and all those types of things. I've been endorsed by the mayor, by Mayor Call and Ann Arrington and Dave Marriott, among other people. And so that means a lot. They put their trust in me to be able to be the mayor. And I hope that through today and visit my website at SteveGibsonForMayor.com. I have all the other endorsements on there. There's quite a few, a long list of endorsements that people that have stood up for me. So thank you very much.
My name is Sarah Yuri. I've lived in Pleasant View pretty much my entire life. I was born here and raised here for 49 years. Pleasant View is more than just a place that we live. It's our heritage and our families and our future. And I believe strongly that those who serve in city government must represent residents first. And over the years, I've seen how important it is to have the balanced growth and preserving that character that makes Pleasant View special. As I've been raising my family here, my husband Justin's here, and I have 4 children, a daughter who's down in Utah County and a son that's at BYU and 2 sons that are at Weber High right now. And how important it is to have a good community for your families to be able to be raised and also come back and raise their own families and have that generational tie. It's really important that we protect our open spaces, strengthen our neighborhoods, and plan carefully for our future. And part of that is keeping our taxes and our spending responsible, absolutely responsible. Pleasant View has actually been really good in keeping a balanced budget ever since I've been on council. And we've been very prudent with our funds. And so I'm running for mayor because I want to ensure that Pleasant View continues to be a safe, welcoming, and thriving community for all generations to come. And my leadership will focus on listening, engaging, and making decisions that put residents at the heart of every choice. And I really believe that residents in our city need to be involved much earlier and sooner and all along in the process. And so we have a lot that's coming to Pleasant View. This is a crossroads time, and we really need to make sure that we make the right choices as we continue forward, that we're proactive and not reactive, and that we plan better for our future, and we involve our residents and be a thriving community. And so it's an exciting time.
Good evening. My name is Sean Wilkinson, and thank you all so much for coming tonight. It means a lot that you would take your time and come listen to us. So I've lived in Pleasant View for the last 6 years. Moved from Ogden. I'm married to my lovely wife, Sunny. We have 3 boys, 2 attend Weber High, 1 attends Sloman View Elementary. We love Pleasant View. It's a beautiful place. We love the trails, we love the parks, we love the people. We've met so many wonderful people in our time here, and it's home now. Professionally, I work at Weber County. I've worked there for the last 20 years. I am the Community Development Director. Previously, I was the Planning Director. So right now, I oversee the county's community services, including planning, engineering, building inspection, property management, roads, and our waste transfer station. Public service, local government is what I do. And I feel like I can really have a positive influence on the city council with my background professionally. Education-wise, I graduated from Ogden High, earned a bachelor's degree at Weber State in geography, and then later went back and got a master's degree at the University of Utah in public administration. So from my education standpoint, I also have experience in local government, public administration. That's a little bit about me. I don't need to take any more time, but thank you again for coming.
Derek?
All right, my name is Derek Draper. I moved here with my wife, of course. We've been married about, I think, 23 years this year. We moved in about 7 years ago. We decided to raise our kids here. I got one graduated this last year, and I got 2 more that are still here. So a little bit about me. My background is I did military service, went overseas, did time in Southwest Asia, disabled veteran. Came back, decided to do police stuff for some reason. So I did that and I retired from there. Being exposed to the law enforcement career, you get to see good and bad, and government is bad, just so you know. So I think it has good things, but I think mostly it's bad. They're overstepping constantly on our constitutional rights. I'm talking federal, state, and city level. We're passing ordinances and things like that that are crazy. And so for me, that's kind of my stance, is government needs to be, the reins need to be really pulled back and you need to be reined in as far as government goes. Yeah, that's like my stances on things, is we just need to rein in government. And as we're growing here, the people who've been part of our government right now currently, if you're happy with how Pleasant View has grown and you're happy how Weber County has grown, that's what's gonna happen with Pleasant View. So you can either make a change or you can let it explode and we'll be North Auburn and have all these damn townhomes everywhere. So that's it.
Right.
Hi, my name's Brian Gray. I've been in Pleasant View for 12 years now. My wife and I live here. We sort of abandoned our kids in Arizona and came here. We had 6 kids, 8 grandchildren. We do visit them a lot. Some live in other states as well. We came here really running from, maybe I should preface this with, I was born in the projects in West Philadelphia, grew up on Navy bases, moved to Arizona because I didn't think the Philadelphia area was where I wanted to be. I thought there was better things out there. The Phoenix area was wonderful. That went to hell in a handbasket, so to speak. So I decided to move up here and we made Pleasant View our home, and I just absolutely love it here. And I'm not running anymore. Not running from anybody else, I should say. Yeah, I am running for something. And that's actually why I'm doing this. I'm running into something instead of running away from it this time, because I'm getting too old to run away. And I'm not gonna do that again. So I just want to mention that right now I run a large machine shop for a multi-billion-dollar casting company. I'm responsible for the budget and all the engineering work. I've reduced the expenses by $57,000 in the first quarter of my tenure in there. And I'll continue to do that. I just got one more thing to say. My core mission is our town, not my own political career or not taking care of anybody else, the builders or anybody else. It's for us, all of us. Thank you.
John?
Thanks for being here. I think that's recognizing that you took the time to be here to find out who we are is an important part of this process. So my name is Johnny Ferry. I've been in Pleasant View for 12 years. I have 4 beautiful kids, and my wife teaches over at Majestic Elementary. She's a 2nd grade teacher there. I started out in a farming community out west here called West of Corinne. And that's a 5-generation operation that my family runs and continues to have. I met my wife in high school, and her family had a grain company called Honeyville Grain. And from there, they, for now 75 years, have had business within the state. I've spent 24 years at Honeyville, developed different products. 12 of those years I was in Rancho Cucamonga, California, and helped to develop many products. One of those being your favorite pancake, Kodiak cakes. That was my world, and that's what I have been doing for 24 years until just 6 weeks ago. I took a new role. I'm the president and the CEO of the Utah Manufacturing Association, and that is representing all manufacturers here in the state, which is about 5,000 different manufacturers. And that gives me opportunity to see business and to encourage growth and to help that happen in the state of Utah. So I think for me, though, the important thing goes back to those people sitting here at the table and the opportunity that we have to counsel with you as a city and to try and make this continue the good things that have happened and to make things better where needed. And that's my role, and that's what I'm trying to do. So you can go to my website, johnnyferry.com is probably the easiest thing to find out more about me. That's johnnyferry.com.
It's gonna sound like a commercial, it's awesome.
Okay, we'll start with Sarah this time. I keep hearing, and everybody hears the planned, sustained, controlled growth. Tell me in what that looks like in your brain. What do you think controlled, sustained growth would look like for Pleasant View?
Well, I'm glad that you asked that question, thank you. So planned, sustained, controlled growth looks like a master plan. We've been meeting with stakeholders and individuals who own property on the hillside as well as at the end of Pleasant View Drive on the west side to look at creating a master plan community that has open spaces, that has trails, that has a variety of housing options with smaller patio homes to larger lots to, if you had a townhome that looked like a mansion like Caseville Farms where you have 4 units where it's just one house instead of rows and rows of townhomes. But we need that mixed use. We need the ability to have that control, to have the open spaces and have the area planned in such a way that it benefits Pleasant View and benefits those who want to be able to live here as well.
How do you picture it?
Thank you. I think the first thing we need to make sure that we're looking at is what our infrastructure capacity is. That's what's going to control growth. So we have a zoning ordinance in place, we have a general plan in place, but lately I've served on the planning commission for the last 3 years. Forgot to mention that. But in that role, we've had multiple zone changes, multiple general plan amendments, requests for development on the hillside. That's telling me that we need to relook at what we're doing. The plans are outdated. So it's time to take a look, go back, look at our zoning ordinance, look at our general plan, and look at what the infrastructure capacity is. We have professionals that work for our city that can help us through this process, but that's what we need to do.
Eric, your picture.
You just asked me a question again. You read that one more time? The question?
Describe for me what you think sustained, controlled growth looks like.
Well, sustained, controlled growth for me looks like this. We need to stop building houses here, for one. I like Pleasant View because that's why I moved here, because of the name. It's a pleasant view. I don't want to obstruct it. I don't want a bunch of houses on the hill. If you want to live in North Ogden, live in North Ogden. We're Pleasant View for a reason. And we're trying to compete. I feel like everybody who gets into this political arena, we need to, everything that has an open lot needs to be sold unless the state or city buys it and we'll call it open. You know what I mean? Well, that's fine and dandy, but we have to do something about the growth. Business growth is fine. They've done a good job about putting where businesses can grow, but that's the problem. Why hasn't the master plan been updated? There's people up here to be elected who could have done that, but we'll pull a Hillary Clinton and say, hey, I'll do it this time. That's where I'm at.
Go ahead. Brian?
Okay, so I think I agree that the master plan needs to be updated, but at the same time, I feel like there's so much more to it. First of all, I mean, we're being forced by our governor to bring in lots of high-density housing, which raises crime. We got to raise our kids here. That's ridiculous. I think that we have enough basement apartments and what have you to not have to have so many of those units and not have to have so much high density. So I don't see that that's an issue at all. And I fight that wholeheartedly to make sure that we put in the least amount that we possibly can.
John?
So back, I think looking at the idea of planned growth and how it works, I think you have to also consider think about what you're voting for. The plan, which it has not been updated for some time, the council over the next 4 years is going to get into that general plan. So your vote is going to impact, who you vote for is going to impact who is going to be making decisions about that general plan. When I think about planning purposes, things that I do in my life, strategically planning for different events, and the number one thing you've got to study is what resources do you have? The limited space, the limited money, the limited amount of infrastructure that we have that we can then apply to the general plan has to be counseled with and determined, and that's how I approach. When I approach decisions, I definitely consider what are my limited resources, And how am I going to use those limited resources to the best ability? And that's how I put plans together. I'm not thinking pie in the sky or things we can do.
Steve?
You know, we've talked a lot about the general plan. We've updated the general plan several times over the years as changes have come. And, you know, a complete general plan overhaul takes a committee, takes the community. I don't know if we're there yet, but on my website, my first thing is smart growth, not sprawl. We are going to develop on the hill. Water is going to be part of that. We have to have secondary water and culinary water. Right now, we don't have it. So whatever developer is going to have that is going to have to look at water. Encourage responsible commercial expansion. You know, we've set aside right now several places where we have areas for sales tax revenue, and we've continued to work for that because sales tax revenue helps us more than any property tax. We get more for that. Well, I want to keep and protect the character of our community. We talked a lot about that. People are going to move in. Property owners have the right to build on their lots.
Time. Sorry. Okay, we'll start with Sean. What are your plans? No, let me word that differently. Tell me one plan you have that you would use to engage the community and keep them informed. One strategic plan.
As in a method or?
What
Okay,
would you do to get people involved?
well,
Involved or informed?
Just one, or can you share more than
And
one?
informed. If they're involved, they're informed.
okay. Here we go. Well, there are a lot of ways to do that. I think the best way to do that is there is a city newsletter that goes out to every resident of this city, and everything needs to be advertised in there. If there's a planning commission meeting coming up, it needs to be in there. And I think all of that probably is, but we probably need to put more in there. But if you want to reach every resident of this city, that's the way to do it.
Sure.
Okay, and this is like I've been saying for, I don't know, a couple years now, man. Last time too, is the newsletter comes out. The newsletter should have everything your elected officials vote for on it. You can go back and look what is being held at the council meeting, and then we should get an answer to how everybody voted. That's called holding your elected officials accountable. As, hey, I tell you what, you can go watch it on YouTube. If I can watch it on YouTube, I can come here. It's boring as crap, man. Why do I want to do that? So it's not hard to put it in writing so I can read it. Then if I want to watch on YouTube, I can go back and watch it. But the problem is the people who have the ability to enforce that and put that in the newsletter don't want it in there. That's why it's not, just so you know.
Right.
So I think we need to have a multi-pronged approach, both with social media and with the newsletter, and with, I think we need to put out flyers that show each thing that is voted on and why, and who voted for what. I think that's the ultimate in transparency. And I think that would get more people to come in. And also the signs for the zoning requirement, the zoning changes and what have you, I think that needs to be much larger so that people are more aware of it, because it's so small, you just don't pay attention to it.
So maybe I'd ask the question first, how do you currently get your information? How do you know what's going on in the city? And it can be the newsletter, it can be social media, a lot of posts go up on social media, the community pages that we all get on. I'm gonna focus on one specific one, just for this question. I also wanna encourage youth involvement. I think that we have a strong youth presence here in this community, a lot of good kids. And I think if we can involve them and bring them into connecting with them on their social media, or whether it be through schools or other things, I think that we can pull the youth in. I think that they have a lot of great ideas, brings some vitality to the community as well. So I think give youth a chance to also get involved in some of what I'd like to do.
You know, Derek, you said this many times, but the minutes of the city, the minutes of every county, or every voting record, is on every agenda that we have. So the minutes are there. If people want to look at it, they can. One of the sad things that I've found out as I've been running for mayor at this time is the apathy of people. They don't care. A lot of people just don't care. And I think we need to change that. We need to get some excitement. I think some community committees or some different things like that would really help spread what's going on in the city. We sit here many times with 1 or 2 people in the audience for council meetings. Now, Derek says, well, I don't want to come, it's boring. But that's really where we get the involvement. That's where we get the people to know what's going on. Social media and all those things, and we can try that, the newsletter, everybody gets it. I read it because I like to see the mayor's message. If I become mayor, I will continue to have a message. And Ann Arrington, one of the things that she said is communication is the key. We have to have that communication.
You asked what's one thing. I think that's a multifaceted thing. It really is. There's not just one way to communicate, to improve upon. Since I've been on council, we've led the initiative to start social media. Social media is a double-edged sword, but for better or for worse, there are so many people who are informed better because we share our city council agendas, we share our planning commission agendas, we share all the activities, we network with other cities and their communities and share all the things that are happening. Like just yesterday, we shared that Pineview's shutting off their water tomorrow. And so anyway, but newsletters, it's social media, like Steve said, having people attend this city council meeting, YouTube, emails, networking. I would like to have more town hall meetings to involve the public besides just what we do. And not have, you can put out a public notice, but not necessarily a formal setting, but involve the public early on before our city council meetings to engage the community. This is your city. You need to know what's going on. You need to feel like you're part of it.
Thank you. Now let's start with Derek. Mayors don't vote, but they still communicate throughout the council and try to let them know their opinion. How do you believe that the city council and the mayor should interact so that we're all on the same page?
I don't think the mayor and city council should be on the same page. Like, the council holds the purse, the mayor runs the direction he wants to run the city. Well, those two can conflict. So you don't work together to get along. You work together for the good of what you're representing, which is the city. Like I think that's the problem is, well, I'm outvoted, I'm not gonna vote no, I'll just vote yes. That's the problem that we have. You know what I mean? Instead of going, it's a no. I don't want that, it's a no. I've asked for this for probably 6 years. I would like to see the percentage of how many times the council votes unanimously. And like they do it it's totaled up. And you can't get it. I've asked it with the grandma request, still can't get it because it's probably like 95, 99% of the time, yes.
Time. Right.
So I believe the council and the mayors should, actually the council should consult with the mayor, listen to what they have to say, and form their own opinions. And like Eric said, there is a separation of powers there. And make their own decisions and decide what's going to go on, what's best for the people, and also listen to the people. It would be really nice to hear from people when something like that goes on. And I would agree that we have an issue with apathy. If we had more engagement, that would be great. And I'll actually be going door to door to talk to people leading up to this because I feel like people need to be more engaged.
I think just like in any decisions that are needed to be made when you have a group, the mayor and the city council, the work is really done leading up to the day of decisions, up to the day of the vote. That means putting the work in to find out what the details of the issue that are going to come up on the agenda. Working together to kind of find out, how do you feel about this prior to the vote even happening, right? Spending the time to build relationships with people within the community who have an opinion or who might have an expertise about something that can improve our community. but the work is done prior to that vote. If you can spend the time to do that and work together so that when the moment comes, you gotta make that vote, I think that's the work is done in advance in building the relationships between the city and the city council and the mayor. I think that's what I would emphasize.
So I think I get 2 minutes because I'm gonna say, Johnny just said things that I want to say. No, not 2 minutes, but I've taken his 2 minutes, 1 minute already. But, you know, in my opinion, the mayor and the city council have got to get along. The mayor has a certain set of obligations and things where he runs the city. He sets things, he sets the agenda, he sets those different things. The city council, of course, is the legislative part, the executive and legislative. They spend the money. Mayor has no ability to spend the money, but he does set the tone for the city. The mayor represents the city for other communities. And that's what and over the last 12 years, we've had really good relationships. Jerry Burns is in the back. Mike Humphreys is here. We've had great discussions of things that are going on. And we have agreed more than we've disagreed. Even Sarah and I have disagreed over a lot of stuff, but we've also agreed on more things than we disagreed on, because we want Pleasant View to go forward in a way that is good for everybody. So to have the city council against us, against the mayor, or to fight with him is not something that I want. I want to work with the city council and give them some assignments to go forward and help.
Sarah.
The mayor's job,
There.
Thank you. Come here.
the mayor's job, just like has been mentioned previously, is to lead out. The mayor sets the tone. The mayor collaborates with the city council and planning commission and staff to move the business of the city forward. Our business of the city is to serve the residents here. And if you don't have that synergy and that interaction and that connection, it's not going to happen. So mayor sets the tone, mayor leads out, mayor invites the city council to be a part of the process early on. So you have those discussions like Johnny mentioned, that we discuss what's going on, the city business, ask for your opinions, ask for collaboration, use the strengths of your city council to promote the general welfare of the city and be proactive in doing that.
All right. There has to be a relationship of trust. So the mayor is out representing the city, and then the city council gets the vote. If there's not trust on either side, that's a problem. Now, agreement doesn't always have to happen. In fact, I mean, there probably should be some disagreements because not everybody thinks the same way. And I think that's a good thing. But it has to be respectful and there has to be trust. One of the things that we could do is hold work sessions. They could be 15 minutes before or after a meeting, a city council meeting. But in that meeting, there's no vote that takes place. We're simply talking about items that are going to be on agendas or that are affecting the city. And it's just a time for the mayor and city council to get together and talk and hash out issues before we have to come and vote for them. There's nothing worse than watching people fight in a public meeting.
True. Okay, we'll start with Derek, start with Brian. Looking at the budget, do you feel as if the budget is healthy enough to be able to maintain the infrastructure, maintain replacing garbage cans, maintain all of the things that the city needs? Do we have a budget that is, no, do you have a budget that can support that?
Oh, absolutely, as soon as I get through with it. There will be plenty. And not to say raising taxes, but looking to chop things, as I just said, I just in my first quarter of the position I'm in now saved the company $57,000. I'll do the same thing with that. I'll treat it as if it's your money, because by the way, it's yours, not the city's. And I feel that way about my own budget. It's mine, not somebody else's, although the government would like to say it's theirs. And I feel like that's what's important. Get what we want without paying a ton of money for it. It seems like the bigger government gets, the more crooked it gets, and that's not my aim at all. I like small government, and That's all I have to say.
So I've had the opportunity to run financial budgets my whole career. It's, you, in the real world, you don't make payroll, you don't have a business, you don't have employees, you don't have those that are going to be, you're not gonna sustain your business. I think so it's basically look at the inputs. Can the inputs justify the outputs, the expenses that come across that you need to pay for every single day? And when you consider projects or new opportunities to enhance the city or to guide or to do better, it all comes down to inputs and outputs. Can you afford the inputs of revenue and the outputs of expenses? Can you afford to do what you want to do? And then you have to make a decision that you people are giving the council the opportunity to represent you. And I would do that fiscally responsible. That's my goal.
By law, we have to balance the budget. And the mayor sets that budget with the different department heads. And we've done a great job, I feel, of spending the money wisely. We bring in about $1.2, $1.3 million in property tax. Our budget's about $7 to $8 million. We get a lot of Class C road funds, we get a lot of sales tax revenue and other funding sources. There's not a ton. We have enterprise funds, which are the water, sewer, garbage, those things support themselves. And we're in good shape with the exception of water. We have an aging infrastructure. We've got about 70 years worth of old pipes sitting in the ground. That is going to be a problem. We're going to have to address that because we can't afford to replace all the water. But those are the things that the mayor does, and I have that strength, I believe, to set that to work with the police, the public works, those different people in the city that help set that budget every year.
Time.
Our budget, like Steve mentioned, our budget is balanced. However, I do think that there's some improvements that we can make. The mayor does meet with city staff before it comes to us, but I think that the council actually should be involved in that much earlier. We should have work sessions. We should be able to meet with the department heads to really hear what their needs are. Our infrastructure is lacking. That's one of the biggest complaints besides garbage cans that I receive, from residents here. We have 45 miles of improved roads in our city. So that's like driving from here to Sandy, Utah. And look out your window, probably your road is in need of repair. And so we need to prioritize that more. We have a water tower that we have to build, that we purchased water way back in 2016 that we still haven't built. So we're going to end up in a real crisis and probably have to bond if we don't prioritize that funding. So we have some major infrastructure issues that are coming up that we need to prioritize more than other, projects that are, fun to have. So.
Yes, I think right now, we do have the budget.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody here, if you're happy living here, I am. My road got chip sealed this year. I've lived here 6 years, nothing had happened to it. That's a good schedule. I think we do well with what we have. Now, there's not a lot of excess, and decisions have to be made, and sometimes those aren't fun decisions. We just built new pickleball courts. That money came at the expense of something else. That was the city council's decision, and that's fine. I love pickleball. I also like probably other infrastructure that money could have gone to. Who knows? I wasn't part of that, and that's okay. The fact is, without raising taxes, we do have to make uncomfortable decisions, and I'm willing to do that.
All right, so like a budget, just move numbers around, ask people to give you numbers. How government works is this: if government doesn't make cuts because you have to increase every year, or you lose your funding. If no one understands that, we're $37 trillion in debt for a reason. All government agencies work the same way. If you don't meet last year's budget, it doesn't benefit you to make a cut in government, put it that way. If we have infrastructure here that needs to be replaced at 70 years old, why did we spend $400,000 on one piece of equipment 1 year, $400,000 on another piece of equipment another year? Those could have been rented instead of purchased. There's other things to go on. What's more important, having a nice shiny piece of equipment or having infrastructure redone? That's what I'm talking about priorities. We have just like Sarah said, we have a water tower there where funds are done. Why isn't it built? It sounds like wasteful government.
Time. Okay, tell me one thing that you believe that the city needs to improve on. Just one thing that you think the city needs to improve on, and do you have a suggestion for how to do that? We start with you, Brian.
You already did.
This
No,
is
John.
mine.
Go.
This is obviously not an exclusive thing, the only thing that needs to be done, right?
No, the most important is in your head.
I think that this is both a city and a state problem. The cost of living, I have young kids, I'd love to have them live close, I'd love to give them the opportunity to live here. Finding ways to make that happen and be impactful from a city structural standpoint. Finding ways to be able to afford, my oldest daughter could not afford to live here, she purchased a home in Brigham City. The city's missing out because I have a beautiful daughter and she's not living here. I don't think that, I think there needs to be better ways of that for our future generations to live here. Find more affordability in living here. I think that's the issue that I would say.
I wish we could control that. We can't though, unfortunately. We live in a beautiful place and we have expensive homes, a lot of money, unfortunately. That is one of the things. But, you know, communication is a thing. My biggest thing that I want to improve on is finding some other other revenue sources. We don't have a lot of extra. And I think that we do a great job with what we do. You know, the pickleball courts were mentioned, but we got grant funding, we got volunteers and things like that. A lot of that was funded outside of the city. We did have some matching funds, yes. But I would really want to improve communications. We talked about it in one of the previous questions, to have people more involved and know what's going on in the city. I think that's an important thing for the residents of Pleasant View to understand what's going on before you have to say, stop, I'm done.
Sarah?
I hate that you're asking if there's just one thing, because honestly, if you look at anything that we're doing, everything can always be improved upon. There's always a new way to do something. There's always different perspectives. There's always outside input that can make things better. None of us have all the answers. And that's why you go through election cycles. But I would say that we can do better and improve upon and prioritize our funding, our budget, and how we spend our money, and being proactive. We do have a balanced budget. We do well with the money that we have, but we need to have a strategic plan. There you go. We haven't updated that since 2013. And if we had a strategic plan that set the goals to prioritize the funding, I really think that that would help us move forward in a better direction. Create, improve upon our strategic plan, actually have one, and set goals and follow through.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to go to my planning background and say the one big thing that we can do right now is start updating our zoning code.
Yeah.
With the current general plan in place, we have zoning ordinances, but those ordinances, in a lot of cases, are outdated or they don't do what we want them to do. So I think if one thing can be improved on that I can jump in and help with right away, it's that. But I will say, with the rest of my time, one thing that we cannot improve on is the salmon that we have at Founder's Day, because it's incredible.
Pretty amazing.
All right, so the communication, or the thing to improve on here, I think is communication. Like, how can residents or voters hold your elected people accountable if you don't know how they vote? It's public record. Those who use public record are just politicians that should be gone, just so you know. If you interview anybody, and I don't care what office it is, and they say it's public record, yeah, they should leave. So, because that means they don't want to talk to you, just so you know. So I think the communication needs to be in the water bill. Then you know how people vote. Then you'll show up at the meeting because you're like, you voted this way last time. You can call them on it. But instead, come show up here and we'll pat you on the back and get up here, you can't voice your opinion, you get your little 2 minutes to talk to the person, that's it. And so that's my thing. And then a strategic budget. Why don't we have a water tower built? Again, the people who've been in power, it's the same, man. Hillary Clinton model, dude. They haven't done it. So let's make them change.
Time.
Okay, so, there's a couple of things that I think, we could actually be the one at the forefront and, write an ordinance limiting the number of homes that a single entity can own, and that would, and if we can get away with that, now, you have to do it and couch it in the fact that you're trying to, keep homes affordable. And then there's very little that anybody could use to sue you on. And then, and I think if we do it, we pull it off, it'll spread. And I'm more one of those forefront kind of people. I like to be in the front, be the one who's doing the new thing to fix problems. And more businesses without being front loaded. I don't want to spend a whole bunch of money to get a business in here and then raise everybody's taxes for it. And just to get that money, because people say that helps the city. It doesn't help the city because it's not helping the residents.
Time. Good job. Oh, I forgot what I was gonna ask. What is your opinion on shared services between other cities? Police, fire, whatever, garbage, whatever you can share. What is your feeling on that? Steve?
You know, we've shared services with road construction. We've got better deals with that. We've partnered with North Ogden and Far West to, as we've had projects, we combine them so that we get a better deal, which I think is really good. We had a little case where we kind of considered our police department a while ago. We just didn't think it was right. There was too many questions, and so we tabled that for a while. We have a really good police chief in Stetson Talbot, and our police department is running really well. Where it makes sense financially, I think that's a good thing that we can do. We don't want to lose, especially with the police, we don't want to lose our autonomy there. We don't want to just be a sister to the police department. But Northview Fire, we share that, and I think it goes really well. And so again, where it makes business sense, where it makes money sense, I think it's good. I don't want to lose local control, so.
Yeah, I think shared services are essential for cities to function, especially how close in proximity we are. So like Steve mentioned, we have shared on road projects. We also have shared on police services, and they often, if you drive by any sort of incident, you'll see Harrisville, North Ogden, and Pleasant View all there, and the sheriff's department as well. And so that's essential. It makes economic sense to have the backing of other cities. And if you can go in on a road project or even on, we actually shared an engineer at one point with North Ogden and Pleasant View and try that out to see if that would be effective here with our cities. So if that's, looking into those possibilities is always an option, and it's important to have that relationship with the surrounding cities. Absolutely, shared services are important.
So it depends on the cost of the service and the quality of the service. And that's really what it comes down to. The state code allows for interlocal cooperation agreements between government entities for a reason. So that option is there. And if it makes financial sense for the city, and if it's the best alternative that we have, certainly we should consider it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just on a financial basis. Like, would I work with my neighbor to improve my yard if it's right there on the border? Well, of course I would. Maybe split half, whatever. I just think that's a common sense approach. And I think if it's open to the public, and again, if the communication's there, the public's gonna know. And political figures cave to public people when they're pissed. So if it's a good thing, they're gonna say yes. But if the public knows about it and it's a bad thing, the pressure will force them to say no, even if they want to say yes. So I think it's a financial thing, but again, the public should be aware of it.
I think as well that there should be shared services. Not only should we be just reaching out to North Ogden, the county, all the towns around us, maybe even other counties. If there's something that we can work out with somebody, you do this for me, I do that for you. Keeping the budget down, I think that's a great idea. I've got a deal with one of my neighbors. I fix all of his lawn equipment and he keeps me in peaches. So, I mean, what more could you ask for? That's all I have. Thank you.
I do think it comes down to, like what Sean was saying, the cost and the quality of having the relationship. And I love the idea that maybe we offer Pleasant View peaches to the rest of the and get something out of it, right?
No, cinnamon.
But the key thing is this, it's the relationships that you have with your neighbors. So if you think about our bordering cities, those that will have impacting us, particularly over here on 2700, the Far West has that access that brings them all, everyone has to drive to Far West to get on into Pleasant View. Our relationship there and our ability to have the control of traffic and to think about the traffic flow, we better be good neighbors. If they could really, if they wanted to, they could make some pretty extreme decisions that will impact our community. Having the ability to have a relationship with places like Far West or other communities around us is vital for us to be successful in making sure our borders are watched over and just that we're sitting, that we're good, that we're good neighbors. I think that's important.
I wanted you to speak again. I'm giving you more minutes.
Is that okay?
You guys have talked a lot about zoning, etc., just like the rest of the Weaver County. Sometimes zoning's changed because someone wants it to change and it's not changed anywhere in your general plan. What are your rules here in Pleasant View for fixing zoning to represent what you want the city to represent? And do you follow that rule? There.
Okay, can you repeat the first part of that? I'm just,
A lot of people believe that zoning is changed just because you want it to change or you want it to change so that it would benefit
sure.
you. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And they're doing that all over the place. Well, I don't know if they're actually doing it, but people have the perception that they are. So what is your process in Pleasant View for changing zoning and understanding by it?
Okay, so you have a constitutional right, anybody has a constitutional right to petition their government to ask for a land use permit, for a zone change. And they can go through the process of planning commission that will make the recommendation when, either to approve, recommend approval or denial. And planning commission's role is to go strictly by the general plan and what is on that general plan and what staff recommends. Then the recommendation is made to city council. City council does, in our city, have broad discretion to either accept the recommendation from planning commission or not. And they can approve a zone change. Even, first, you do have to amend the general plan. So you do have to amend the general plan first, and that can be done through an application process. And then after the general plan is amended, you can ask for the zone change, and city council has broad discretion in our city to do that. My personal feeling is that you should update your general plan. We have done several different updates over the last bit, individually, so, yes. No, it's fine.
Yeah, thank you. So I serve on the planning commission, and I believe Pleasant View does follow the law as far as it goes with zone changes. The general plan first needs to reflect whatever that request is, and if it doesn't, then the general plan needs to be amended, and that's a completely different process. Zone changes do come to the planning commission first for a recommendation to the city council. The city council makes the ultimate decision on whether or not property is rezoned. Now, this is interesting, but we have had requests from Pleasant View City to rezone property, and the city can actually rezone whatever property they want. Zoning is not a property right. It is a legislative decision. Okay, so we have to go through public hearings. We have to follow the law, and we always should follow the law. But that just needs to be something that is put out there. It's not just the public that is requesting that.
All right, so, like, I don't believe you should, if you're gonna approve a change for one person, that now becomes the standard for the city. That's how every government agency I've ever worked for works. Here in Pleasant View a couple years ago, because I got in a fight with a bunch of people on Facebook, that's what I do. And so, they changed the zoning for building lot because it didn't meet the criteria of frontage. Okay? The city changed it for that specific lot through the planning commission, and the city council's response to me was, that's a person up here, was the planning commission approved it, it's out of our hands. My response is, how can an unelected body approve something that government controls? Now just confirming the city council had to approve it. And so if that's the new law, then that should be published and updated in our general plan saying you only need 100 feet now.
Thank you.
I believe in zoning variances for, like individual homeowners, as long as it doesn't affect the neighborhood in any bad way. I think it's good for some sections and some people. I really love the fact that I've been drooling a lot over some of the big shops and garages that have gone up around my neighborhood. And I have to say that I'm really happy to see that, because I look at my neighbors and say, hey, they're getting their dream. That's my dream too, but hey, you're getting your dream, and we all should be able to live our dream. I had a neighbor who was at another piece of property that I know, said, I know I'm a little close to the lot line. I said, dude, it doesn't matter, it's still your property. Till you cross that line, I could care less what you do. And I'm more of a live and let live kind of guy, so when it comes to big business, a little different story.
So I think we've identified that we've got, starts with the general plan, then goes to the planning commission, and then the city council can take consideration on the zoning rules. I think for me, it comes down to, if there is a change that is needed, then it comes down to the fairness of and it's case by case on the decision. But also for anyone to think that they can get because they have a relationship with the city council member or mayor or something like that, I don't think that's not playing fair. It's not playing by the rules. The rules are rules. If they need to be updated because times have changed or something has changed in or a very unique situation like Ryan's talking about, then I think it's fair to bring it up and review it. But overall, I believe that it all comes down to being fair about how you make those decisions on the zoning side of it and using common sense.
Zoning is one of the only ways that we can control a piece of property as a city. We can have uses in the zone, strip club or something like that. We can take that out, and we can set that as a place where we don't want that to be. So that's how zones work. They're kind of a catch-all, but we can change them. This last time, we just changed the zone down by the Pepsi plant to allow a cemetery and use in that zone. It's an RE20 zone, and we're going to have a cemetery here in Pleasant View, and we're very proud of that. So we changed that. So zoning is good. Zoning is fluid in some regards because we have to be able to give and take a little bit on things, and that's why there's 5 city council people. That's why there's members of the planning commission to get that out and to vet the decisions that are made.
I'm going to ask about 2 different entities here. Tell me whether you support it or you do not support it. You just mentioned one. Sean, do you support and will you follow through with the cemetery?
Yes.
Do you support and feel like you have enough money, really, for a rec center?
Not right now.
Gary?
I would support a rec center, but we don't have the money.
Gary? Cemetery
Yes, I don't have a problem doing something.
and rec center.
I don't have a problem doing the rec center. If it has to be you'd have to bring in, like, it can't be government run. Anything government runs crap, man. So you have to bring private investors in. Like, and you can team up with them, maybe give them discounts on some stuff. You know what I mean? But you can't do a government run at all. Like, government can't be on the hook to keep it.
Right, rec center, or cemetery.
Cemetery, I'm definitely for it.
Rec center.
Rec center, I mean, I would love to have something like that, but it's a want, not a need. And I feel like we have some other needs that are a little bit more important.
Like everyone stated, I think it'd be,
Cemetery.
as for a cemetery, I'd love to have a long-term resting place in Pleasant View. And in regards to the rec center, obviously, until you know how much it's gonna cost and you can afford it, you can't do it. You gotta make sure that you can afford it. So same response.
Cemetery.
Cemetery, absolutely. In fact, my wife, as soon as it goes, we're gonna get her headstone. We're just not gonna put the end date in yet. I'll hear about that later. Thanks, Dan. Rec center, absolutely not. We don't have any business being in that thing. It's just too expensive. I have a lot of people all the time. Sandy has this beautiful facilities, $60 million or something like that. We don't have any business. North Ogden loses money, I think $150,000 on the North Shore swimming pool. It's a cost that we don't need.
Well, since we're building a cemetery, yes, I do support a cemetery, absolutely. My answer is closer to Sean's. I would love to have a rec center, and actually, we've explored the possibility. We don't have the funding for it. We don't, but that's another big thing that is constantly asked about a rec center. Interestingly enough, the one in Provo does make money after 3 years because it's a public-private partnership. They do have endowment funding every single year from major stakeholders like Larry H. Miller and people like that fund it, and they don't run in the red, ever. So there is a way to do it, but we don't have the money here in Pleasant View. We absolutely don't, but we would have to be a county thing.
That makes sense. One of the problems that Pleasant View's been facing lately, if I'm reading the news correctly, is an increase in crime, not necessarily horrible crime, there's been a couple, but, vandalism, theft, car, whatever. What is one strategic thing you can put in place that would defer that or reduce it? I really don't know where we start.
I think we're to Derek.
Derek.
On me? Well, mine is easy. The police department works for the citizens. They get their paycheck from the city council. That's how it goes, through property taxes, et cetera. So how many people know of the burglaries and stuff that are going on in your community? None, because they're never reported. They're never given out to us. We have a newsletter that comes out. There's never a little update from the police that says, we've had this many crime in our area. Hey, keep your lights on. There's no suggestions. If you see people out walking, you please let us know. If I was on the council, I'd ask the chief, I'd say, hey, I want a report brought to me and show me how many people were FI'd that's a field interview, just people that are outside walking around. Because right in front of my house at about 3 in the morning, there's 30 people that are just walking the streets in front of my house. And those probably are neighbors and stuff like that. But the cops, it's their job to know who's out walking. Or if I have a burglary, I can go to that person that was walking and say, did you see anything?
Right?
I'd have to agree with Derek, and also I think the biggest thing is to defer that is we need to stop the apartments. So with zoning and planning, I think that's super important that we need to keep that down, and that's why I go back to my suggestion of trying to limit the high density housing and count up the people's apartments and offer auxiliary dwelling units. And because when you rent out something in your neighborhood, when you're renting out your basement apartment or your an auxiliary dwelling unit in your backyard, you're there and you feel like you're responsible for those people. You don't have that in these big apartment buildings, and that's where the cops spend all their time.
As one suggestion I would have is to continue to enhance community involvement and communication within the community about what crimes are happening and how they can be shared within the community, whether it be through our apps or through our cameras or phones, anything else that can help to put the word out there that this is happening. You hear about it, and you hear about people saying, hey, did you see our car got broken into last night? We all know people who have said that. I just think that having a bigger, more broad network, a reliable source to have when those things happen, to be able to spread the news. And the best thing, cheapest thing we can do is get more community involvement, crime watching and everything else that we can do as a community to help out with that. Word out.
So I'd love to have a sign in every entrance, Pleasant View is protected by 357, but it's not. The Pleasant View Police Department is doing a great job. They are, they're not understaffed, but they're doing their very best, I think. I think we can always improve on, the watches and things. I've talked to the police department a lot of times at nighttime, as the cars come up, people just will sneak into the shadows. It's very hard to control at night. Robbie Doan, one of our police officers, has started a neighborhood watch program for neighborhoods. And so I, as mayor, that's one thing I'm going to push, to have neighborhood watch going all the time. And it's not vigilantes out there hunting people down, but if you see something, say something. In my neighborhood, I've used this example several times. Everybody knows the Dipomas. They walk 100 miles through the city. We were gone on vacation. Dewey was out taking pictures.
Sarah.
I think that, again, it's a multifaceted approach. It's not just one thing. Community involvement and police presence, working with the youth, having night out against crime, having events where you invite the community, where you know who your police officers are. It's a really good thing, that, in my opinion, that we didn't merge police departments at this time, because we have a local police force. How many of you here know all the names of your police officers? I think that that's really important. You need to know and understand who is there protecting you and who your public safety department is. They need to be approachable. They need to be active and reactive to the situations. And you need to have that relationship. I think being seen, being heard, being out in the community, walking the streets, playing basketball with the kids, being at the after-school programs, having your police presence there is absolutely essential. And having that relationship with the youth, especially, and with the neighbors, is imperative.
Stand up so you can hear me, sorry.
Well, you have one.
Can I get a
Oh, shoot, well, sorry.
It's okay, I'll be quick.
All right.
So the police play a critical role in our community, in our city. I disagree a little bit with crime is just at the apartments. Crime is everywhere. And I know people in this audience who were systematically terrorized over a period of months by ridiculous teenagers out just causing people havoc. And it was ridiculous. The police were called, they did respond, but there was nothing they could do. At least they said that. There was also a fire up on the hillside that was started after multiple reports, time and time again, but it wasn't taken as seriously as it needed to be taken. And it happens everywhere in our community. So I would definitely, as a member of the city council, I would work closely with our police officers to make sure that the entire city is taken care of.
Okay, now I'll really do it. Jared, did you start that last time?
Yeah.
Yes, so it's Brian. Last question. The city relies on integrity and ethical behavior concerning issues that are being looked at by the city council and the mayor. If the topic at hand would actually affect you somewhere down the line, what would you do to maintain transparency and ethics?
I would actually state that it would affect me and recuse myself. I think that's the appropriate thing to do. I've spent a lot of my time in the Republican Party. You could probably ask some people that have been involved in it, fighting people that I thought were dishonest and crooked. And I felt like that was my job in the party. So why wouldn't I do that as your city council member?
I agree, and I think well stated. I would also say that on having being approachable, walking up and being able to have a conversation, asking them questions. They can be hard questions, it's okay. And seek to understand. I think that's the key thing, seek to understand why decisions were made the way they were. But having rumors spread or having things said, you can eliminate that by just being direct, being honest in what you're doing. I think that's the key.
My dad told me many years ago, all you have is your name. That's what you have. Doesn't matter how much money you got or whatever, but you got your name. And I've held very strictly to that principle. My name, and I've told my kids that, when you go out there in the world, that's what you got. You have your reputation. And we sign an ethics agreement when we take office that we will be ethical. Even in this campaign, we signed that we will not down the other person or hold true to those things. If I find myself in something that is not appropriate, I would recuse myself. Definitely make that known that there is something personal or something that could affect a vote. And I don't think anybody would disagree with that.
I absolutely agree. Serving as your representative there's no other motive except to do what is best on behalf of all of Pleasant View. And so if anything is personal or would affect me personally to gain or whatever, absolutely disclose that. Be honest and upfront. There's no other reason to not be honest. There really isn't. There's no personal gain in the position that we hold as an elected representative, at least in my book. And so recusing is absolutely essential. Stating why you would not vote, absolutely. Don't be a part of that. Don't even gamble with that relationship. Be ethical, be honest, dismiss, those feelings and recuse yourself.
Honesty is the best policy, full disclosure. On every agenda, Planning Commission and City Council, there is a declaration of conflict of interest. So those can be declared publicly. There is a definition in the state code that defines what a conflict of interest is. If it's financial, certainly you should, I would recuse myself, anyone should recuse themselves. If you happen to know somebody that's applying for an application that doesn't affect you personally, and you can vote with an unbiased opinion, then that's okay. That's a personal call. But if you are in violation of what a conflict of interest is, absolutely, it's a recusal.
Now, so me, it's just, I think you just come out with it if you're gonna benefit from it in any way. Everybody needs to know, they shouldn't find out. But I'll just give you an example of how this plays out. We had 2 council members sitting on the board of the Pickleball Association when it's being voted on. It's a conflict of interest. They recuse themselves. Do you as the audience get to be back in the meeting to sway votes or carry opinions in the meetings that aren't public? No, you don't. And so just because you recuse yourself, don't mean you don't get to still carry influence to make something happen. So I like the recusal, that's just talk. There's more to it. If that topic's being discussed, if you're recused, you should leave because you shouldn't get any more knowledge on it and you shouldn't be able to give your opinion or this is the benefit or this is this. Influence, that's what everybody buys is influence.
Okay. Johnny, right? The first, you have a minute and a half to tell us why you're the very, very, very best candidate for this job.
All right. You can find that out at johnnyferry.com. So I'm going to take my minute and a half. I'm just going to say this. I'm grateful for the therapists, those pioneers and those who established this community, saw the vision in the future of what it could be. And we have that honor to be able to carry that and try to make it better and to go along. I think if there's nothing else that we get out of how much we love our community, it really goes into that next generation too. We are establishing what the next generation and future generations are going to be. And from the events in the world that are going on, those things could happen in our own community and may happen someday. We need to prepare ourselves and be ready to carry on the heritage that those who came here first and established, whether they be city leaders or if they, or just simple people in the community, to try to make it better. I think recognizing that and being grateful for what we've been given, and then utilizing this land, this city, this area to make our place better, to make our opportunity in the future better. I love this community. I love the people here. And I'm grateful that I have an opportunity to be up here and to potentially be a city council member for you. That's JohnnyFerry.com.
Again, I will echo what Johnny says. Thank you for that. It is this, you know, I'm just going to be in here for 4 years. There's been 175 years, I think.
175 years next year.
Next year, we're going to celebrate 175th anniversary. There's been a lot of people that have come and gone that have made their mark on Pleasant View. I hope that you'll vote for me so that I can help lead that for this next 4 years. We are going to need help from other communities, as been stated here. We're going to need help from the county and different people. I feel like I have the temperament and the ability to talk and work with those people. As mayor, we're on the sewer board, we're on the WACOG, we're on the 911 board. There's many things that a mayor does that needs to represent the city. I feel that I have the staff support here in Pleasant View and the police department support. And again, go on my website, SteveGibsonForMayor.com, and look at the endorsements. I have quite a good list of good quality people, and it's those people that are behind me. And I think because my biggest thing is people don't know me possibly. I'm not on social media all the time. I don't deal with that. But have people know who I am. Look at the endorsements. Look and see what the things are saying. I hope I live up to some of those endorsements because it humbles me as to the good things that have been said.
I have loved serving the residents of Pleasant View. I am active, I am present, I show up, I work alongside the city staff. I have a great working relationship with all of them, with our public safety, with our public works, with our office staff, with our recreation department. I have networked with community stakeholders, with the Major Brent Taylor Foundation, with the county, with surrounding cities in events, and also fundraising for different events here in Pleasant View to cut costs with our residents, and so that the taxpayers are not on, the hook for those different things. I have worked hard to communicate with the residents, building our social media presence, working with staff to make sure that we utilize email and our newsletter and all of those things to communicate with residents. I'm often reaching out with our different residents to have those conversations of what is interesting to them, what is they're concerned about, and following through. I network a lot with our city council members, with our mayor, work behind the scenes. My only goal is to be a servant of the people, is to lead out and to be proactive with our city. For too long, Pleasant View has been reactive, and we need to update our ordinances, update our general plan. We're at a crossroads, you guys. We have very little property left that we need to take care of, and we need to make sure that we do it right for future generations. And I have that working relationship with all of them. I work well with the city council and with the community, and I ask for your vote.
All right, let's sum it up. As I mentioned in my introduction, I feel like I have the professional and educational experience to serve you from day one. I work closely with all of our county elected officials every day. That's my job. I know public infrastructure, I know public budgeting. I manage a budget of $20 million and I oversee 100 public employees. I know how to do this. I think that's probably the best benefit I can bring, along with my expertise in the planning and zoning field. That's what I have done for the last 20 years. I'm a certified planner with the American Planning Association. If you want someone to address planning, I can really help with that. Okay, and you have a great staff and I can really be an asset there. I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody tonight, but some of the things that have been said about planning and zoning would get the city sued and we would pay millions of dollars in lawsuits. It's just not real. So I can help there. It's what I do. And to cap it off, you get this lovely lady in the front row along with me, because she is amazing and she will be right there with me helping the city. So thank you.
For that alone, we should vote for you.
All right, so for me, like I said, I just want to make change, make the best. That's like what's best for Pleasant View. And what I think is best is we need a business growth, so we can get sales tax. That's where we get, just so you know, houses, you don't get money on houses. You get money on sales tax. Everybody's kind of on that same page because that's where you get your money. We get a big check every month from the state of Utah. We're on like welfare. And so when we have this $7 million budget, that's because the state gives us like checks for $200,000 every month or couple months, you know? And so what happens when the state says we're not going to give you money? That's what's happening right now with the federal government, right? They're like, you don't get federal funds unless you do this. That's where we're at. And so that's why budgets are spent, because if you don't spend the complete budget, you don't get the money. You know what I mean? So all this talking around stuff's nice and neat, but I think we need to be self-sufficient for one and be able to depend on ourselves as much as possible. Yeah, we take that money, let's get all of our stuff built, you know what I mean? And like I said, I think there should be a thing online to where I can go in, I can type in my address, I'll know when my road's gonna get paved, when the sewer's gonna be redone, all that stuff should be listed. It's 2030 when I'm getting my thing done. It should be that easy. We're in the age of technology, but yet we're living like we're in the 70s or something.
So, first of all, I'd like to thank not only the residents and great people who showed up, I really appreciate the fact that people showed up. Engagement is number one. Yes, give yourself a hand. And then I'd also like to thank the people who came before us that made this the wonderful city that it is, that honestly, I really enjoy so much. And I really like to thank you guys once again for giving me the opportunity to make a difference in our community. And what I'm gonna tell you is don't vote for me because you know me. Don't vote for me because, you know, I have name recognition or I'm trying to do some other thing or you want a favor or anything like that. Vote for me because my core mission is our town and you people. That's all.
Good job. Thank you. I want to thank all of you for coming, of course, but later on in their life, I have there for all of you to stare at. So they deserve it. Or go on Weaver County, Women Voters Facebook page. If you want to review some of the answers, I encourage you to vote for who you believe will benefit you and your city the best. No, not talking. Teachers. Not talking, ignore her. I just want to thank you. Most of you. I have a lot of things to say. No,
She's been the most fun timekeeper I've ever had.
she's a fun timekeeper.
Yes,
She is.
We keep her.
Thank you guys so much. It's great. Thank you, audience. And my house is, I want to share this for
Thank you.
Good. Seriously. No, he should be here. Huh? He should be here.
Oh, Sean?
Yeah.
He's good too, yeah.